A sleep-deprived student, Kevin, pulls an all-nighter for a final exam. He drinks a free cup of coffee from the campus library despite his dislike for the drink. The coffee has a strange texture, and moments later, he feels an intense, abnormal jolt of energy, a feeling of being fully rested. This feeling doesn't wear off. After several days of being unable to sleep, Kevin begins to experience severe symptoms. He gets debilitating headaches, nausea, and starts to hallucinate, seeing a long, worm-like creature out of the corner of his eye. When he finally gets to the hospital, a CT scan reveals a shocking truth. A parasite resembling a giant millipede has wrapped itself around his brain. The doctors attempt surgery to remove the parasite, but it seems to have a bizarre effect, somehow preventing Kevin from being sedated. He experiences a terrifying, vivid hallucination of the creature and other smaller parasites crawling all over and into his body. The doctors realize the parasite is feeding on his stress hormones. They treat him with medication to calm his stress, which weakens the parasite. A second surgery is successful and the parasite is removed. On the drive home, Kevin is hit with 18 days worth of sleep deprivation and nearly causes a car accident. He is finally ready to rest, but as soon as he gets into bed, his tiredness vanishes and his symptoms return. He suspects the parasite laid eggs inside him, and another one is hatched. The story ends with him feeling a tapping in his head, a new parasite beginning its life. Ryan was a child of silence, a boy who moved through life without a sound. He could hold his breath for minutes, disappear into shadows, and hide so well his mother thought he was a ghost. She joked about tying a bell to his neck, but Ryan craved a finer, quieter existence. He meticulously cataloged every blind spot in his home, perfecting his ability to disappear, and once, he savored the sight of his mother's panicked face after he hid from her for 4 hours. This love for hiding soon morphed into a need to scare others, not with loud jumps, but with quiet, unnerving almosts. A breath on a neck, a half-seen face in a doorway. When he grabbed his father's ankle from under a bed, he saw not anger, but a flicker of awe in his father's eyes, a connection he had been secretly looking for. His quiet games escalated. Hiding and scaring led to taking. At first, he pilfered small, insignificant objects, a button, a pencil sharpener, reveling in the confusion and chaos his actions caused. When he's tired of the domestic stage, he moved to the social, taking a friend's Game Boy and a girl's hair clip, returning them in strange, anonymous ways. The silence and the secrecy of these acts were everything to him. After college, Ryan thought he had outgrown these compulsions. The constant noise of adult life seemed to have dulled his silent instincts. He became a ghost in the city, an invisible man in a glass tower, his life a peaceful, empty routine. He found comfort in the absence of things and the lack of clutter in his bare apartment. But the silence that he once found comforting began to curdle. He started feeling a strange presence, a sense of being watched. Faint sounds, a distant scrape, a quiet pop, a whisper of laughter, began to plague his nights. He dismissed it as paranoia until he started hearing synchronized footsteps behind him. He started sleeping on his couch with the bedroom door locked and found himself haunted by his past games of hiding. He discovered an online forum where a user named Holophage claimed to feel the presence too. The user explained that the presence was not after, but with him, and that it fed on solitude. The forum featured a spreadsheet of lonely deaths, and Ryan's address was marked as pending. One night, walking home, he saw a black, spider-like shadow in a playground reflection, a grinning figure with impossibly long arms. The apartment became a tomb. The air grew damp, the walls felt closer, and the noises sharpened into clear whispers, sometimes his mother's voice, sometimes his own. He started writing notes to himself, a ritual of survival. Hide in closet, don't let it see you. He began to see the figure clearly, a tall, impossibly thin silhouette with a stretched, teeth-filled smile. The line between dream and reality blurred. He would wake up in different rooms and find notes he hadn't written. One morning, a note was slipped under his door. "I am here." He later found a trove of stolen jewelry in a hidden compartment of his home. Among the items was a necklace worn by a recently murdered woman he had dreamed about, a woman who screamed at the sight of him. The cold reality of his actions brought on a deep-seated fear. The voice in his head, the voice of the presence, spoke to him with clarity, promising him that he would never be alone again if he let it in. Ryan, exhausted and terrified, finally gave in. The creature's mask, a face of pure, horrifying smile, floated toward him. He felt himself become hollowed out, a vacant space for the entity. The story ends with a chilling realization. The thing he had spent a lifetime denying was always a part of him. I sleep with my window closed now, not out of habit, but out of fear. Real monsters exist, the kind we can name and lock up. But the supernatural is different. It's older, quieter, easier to keep secret. It hides in the cracks just outside the corner of your eye. We treat ghosts and demons like stories, but I don't think they ever were. My fiancée Michelle and I had a good life. 9 years together, a beautiful future ahead. We were inseparable. Then, 3 years ago, she died in a car crash. Her car had a wheel-bearing failure, she lost control, and that was it. She was driving home to me after a minor argument. My debt of happiness was paid in full. The pain was biblical. After losing her parents in a car crash years before, she had survived. But this time, the tragedy that got away came back to claim her. Her family, all in Ireland, couldn't make it to the funeral. I was the one who had to identify her. I'll never forget walking into that cold, sterile room. The coroner pulled back the sheet to reveal what was left of her. Twisted, deformed, and inhuman. That sight, not her beautiful face, was seared into my brain. A month ago, I started hearing a strange sound at night, a deep, dying mechanical groan like a broken car. I'd look outside, but there was nothing there. It sent me spiraling, triggering vivid dreams of her. Not the woman I loved, but the one I saw in the morgue. I couldn't escape the visions of her twisted face. The strange sounds continued, night after night. I felt like I was losing my mind. Then, one night, I heard footsteps outside my window. They came in an odd rhythm, a heavy 1-2 hop, and then they stopped right outside. I listened, my heart pounding. A woman's voice, a whisper, came from the darkness. "Hey!" My breath caught in my throat. "Paul." The words were soft, almost imperceptible. "Let me in, Paul." I didn't answer. I just lay there, frozen with terror. It was her. A sweet, overpowering scent filled the room. Her perfume. It couldn't be. Michelle was dead, buried. But she spoke her love, her desperation for hours, just outside my window. The tapping began the next night, and it hasn't stopped since. I've lived with my curtains drawn for days. I haven't slept, haven't eaten. She tells me I've suffered enough, that peace is just on the other side of the glass. She says, "You're already halfway gone. You just need a little push." Tonight, the tapping feels different. It's steady, delicate, on every window in the house. Her perfume wraps around my throat like a noose. I find myself standing up, walking to the curtain. My hand trembles, but I reach for it. "Paul, you were never supposed to see what was left of me," she whispers. I pull the curtain open. She's there, beneath the flickering orange streetlight. Her eyes are full. Her hair falls across her face. She's wearing the black hoodie she stole from me years ago. She looks alive, warm, and real, not broken, not dead, not buried. She raises her hands to reach for me. Her fingers are too long. She smiles, her eyes growing wider, and she says, without moving her mouth, "There you are." I unlock the window. I let her in. In my ethereal existence, I am a ghost, a dancer appearing only in the darkest hours to those who awaken from nightmares. Most people in their tired stupor dismiss me as a trick of the mind and return to sleep, but I beg you not to. I am a dancer, and if you look away, you will send me back to an unimaginable hell. I dance to stay in this world, and my performances are my fleeting moments of peace. My audiences are often children or drug addicts, souls that are too exhausted or altered to look away immediately. It's a cruel game, but I've found that only 1 in a million will truly engage with me, and only one soul in my endless existence, a 5-year-old boy, has let me stay a full night. I was a dancer in life, though my talents were always a private affair. I found joy in my solitude, a feeling that blossomed into a dark pleasure when I started to manipulate people. The thrill began with small acts of malice, like telling on 2 friends for kissing, which I justified as teaching them a lesson. My first real golden alignment came from this act, a burning in my chest that felt like a reward from the universe. This inner heat became my constant companion, guiding me to seek out more opportunities for chaos. My actions escalated in high school when I exposed a cheating couple on the dance team. The fallout was dramatic, and I reveled in the fear and pain I caused. The burning in my chest intensified, a radiant affirmation that I was on the right path. It wasn't about justice, it was about feeding this darkness within me. My lessons became more and more potent, and I knew a pivotal moment was coming. The climax of my life, the moment that defined my damnation, was at a university punk concert. I used the internet to stir up a violent protest, then laced the drinks with drugs. The chaos that erupted was a bloodbath. As the crowd tore itself apart, I climbed onto the stage and began to dance. My internal heat exploded, enveloping the scene in a beautiful crimson haze. The dead rose to dance with the living, and for a moment, hate turned into a shared, collective love. It was a macabre masterpiece, and as I screamed in pleasure, everything went dark. Then a sudden, cold darkness. I found myself in a vast, red-skied hell, a place with no words, only intent. My precious heat abandoned me, rising to join the crimson sky, leaving me with a soul-crushing cold. I became a plaything for the creatures of this hell, subjected to eternal torment until my body and spirit broke. In a brief moment of darkness between my deaths, I was transported to a child's bedroom. I was alive again, if only for a few moments before being dragged back to the freezing hellscape. My punishment was this cycle, a brief, wonderful respite in a mortal's room, followed by an eternity of agony. My life on earth is a penance I will never escape, a lesson in futility. I dance now in the rooms of the sleepless, a pathetic ghost with bruised, flayed skin that mimics a dancer's costume. So, if you ever see me dancing in the dark, please, for your sake and mine, do not look away. Let me stay, let me dance. In the heart of the Appalachian Mountains, a primal justice rules. Waste not, want not. The mountain folk, deeply connected to the land, know that to kill for sport and waste the carcass invites the wrath of the forest. When this happens, a vengeful spirit, the Killdeer, a creature neither fully flesh nor spirit, is born from the discarded kill to hunt the disrespectful hunter. Harlan and Jed, 2 arrogant brothers with inherited wealth, scoff at these warnings. They hunt for the thrill, not for need, armed with expensive gear and a blatant disregard for the mountain's ancient code. During a harsh winter, they shoot a magnificent buck, a king of the forest. But instead of using the animal as tradition dictates, they leave its body to rot, taking only a picture as a trophy. That night, as the brothers celebrate their reckless act, an unnatural silence falls over the woods. Unbeknownst to them, the discarded buck's carcass stirs. The spirit of the wild, enraged by their disrespect, transforms it into the Killdeer. Harlan is the first to sense the change, a feeling of unease that something is watching them. The brothers discover the horrifying truth when they look outside. The buck, their supposed kill, is standing at the edge of the clearing, its eyes burning with a cold, unnatural light. Panicked, they fire their rifles, but the bullets are useless against the creature. It is invulnerable. They retreat into the cabin, bolting the door, but the Killdeer, relentless and powerful, smashes through. The encounter is brutal and brief. The brothers' weapons are useless. The Killdeer snaps Jed's rifle in two, and then impales him with its antlers. The cabin catches fire, a raging inferno that forces Harlan to flee blindly into the woods. His spirit is shattered as his brother's body. Harlan is found the next morning, babbling about the Killdeer. The authorities, unable to comprehend the supernatural, dismiss his story as shock and hypothermia. They find Jed's charred body with the remains of a scorched deer and attribute the tragedy to a freak animal attack. But the mountain folk know the truth. They understand that Harlan's broken spirit is the true mark of the Killdeer's vengeance. The story of Harlan and Jed becomes a new chapter in the legends of the mountains, a grim reminder that the forest remembers and holds a long, unforgiving memory. The Killdeer, a terrifying enforcer of the wild's justice, waits for those who dare to disrespect the land. Harlan never hunts again, forever haunted, forever listening for the sound of hooves in the dark. Mikey, Brianna, Casey, and Steven were a group of misfits, outsiders, united by a shared fascination with local urban legends. One day, Steven arrived at their treehouse with a breathless tale. He had been seeing vultures circling the same spot for 2 weeks. This was the telltale sign of the legendary Well-Wisher, a creature said to grant wishes from the bottom of an ancient well. With their own private struggles, Brianna's bullying, Casey's lazy eye, Steven's scars, each of them had a wish they desperately wanted fulfilled. On the last day of school, they set off on their bikes, following the old train tracks toward Old Baldy Hill. Brianna arrived late, bruised from a fight with bullies. The anger and helplessness Mikey felt solidified his wish to end the hatred and bullying they all faced. From atop the hill, they confirmed Steven's story, seeing the vultures circling in the distance. They made a pact to find the well. The following day, they hiked through a dense, foul-smelling forest, the air thick with the stench of rot. They found a clearing with a decrepit stone well at its center, a lone vulture perched on the rim. Peering down, they saw a horrific sight, a pit of human corpses, and a woman still alive, clawing at the stone walls. As they reeled in shock, a monstrous feral man emerged from the woods. Terror seized them, and they ran. As they scrambled to crawl under a massive fallen tree, the man caught up. He grabbed Casey from behind, and in a gut-wrenching moment of panic, the friends pulled desperately on Casey's arm. With a sickening snap, a bone broke. The man's immense strength overwhelmed them, and he dragged Casey away, his terrified screams fading into the distance. They escaped, their innocence shattered. Casey and the man were never found. The well was later discovered burned out and empty of bodies, a final, horrifying blank slate. The narrator, Mikey, was left with a lifetime of guilt and nightmares, forever haunted by the day they found the truth in a ghost story. On July 7, 2025, a team from the Carter Archaeology Institute, led by archaeologist Arnold Higgins, began an expedition to the Black Desert in Egypt, based on an ancient journal's reference to a hidden royal burial ground. After 2 weeks of failed digging, the team was on the verge of giving up. The stress of the failed dig and the oppressive heat had taken its toll, with Higgins suffering from anxiety and recurring nightmares of being trapped. The situation took a horrific turn on July 21st when the entire night crew was found dead in their cots. Their skin had a strange grayish hue, but there were no apparent signs of a struggle or foul play. The team's medic could only theorize that they all suffered from sudden heart attacks. Shaken by the tragedy, the remaining crew prepared to abandon the dig. On July 23rd, the final day of the expedition, Higgins joined the digging, hoping to boost morale. He accidentally caused a ground collapse and fell into a hidden chamber below. Miraculously, he survived the fall and found himself in a cavern filled with dozens of skeletal remains of ancient royal guards. In the center of the room, he discovered a large sarcophagus made of black obsidian. When he touched the sarcophagus, it was scorching hot and caused a severe burn on his hand. A strange gust of wind from the coffin instantly disintegrated the ancient skeletons. The team successfully excavated the sarcophagus and prepared it for transport back to the Institute. Higgins, who was feeling unwell from the burn and the spreading fever, accompanied the artifact on a flight. The flight attendant noted that Higgins's burn was spreading and that strange occurrences were happening in the cargo hold. Thumping sounds, whispering, and boiling liquids in a refrigerator. Upon arrival, Higgins was rushed to the hospital with a high fever and a rapidly spreading infection. He was delirious, muttering warnings about a five-eyed beast and a casket. Meanwhile, at the Carter Institute, Dr. Lillian Carl, who had eagerly taken charge of the sarcophagus, found that it was sealed with an ancient, impenetrable material. She requisitioned a powerful acid to open it. After the acid was applied, Dr. Carl's research team was found on the floor, convulsing and mumbling about something rising. Despite the chaos, the sarcophagus was now open. Ignoring warnings from the flight attendant and the strange heat radiating from the artifact, Dr. Carl began a solo examination. She noted that the mummified body was unusually well preserved, with jet black armor and a scimitar. She also observed that the body was radiating heat. During the examination, she witnessed the body's hand jerk, and her audio log abruptly cut off with a scream. At the hospital, the quarantine patients, including the research team, vanished, leaving torn plastic seals. Simultaneously, security guard Phil and maintenance worker Mark Welker were at the Institute, where the power was mysteriously out. Mark discovered the lab in disarray and found Dr. Carl rocking on the floor. Her skin was now gray and her eyes were empty, black sockets oozing blood. She spoke with a deep, echoing voice, declaring the rising of Takayr, general of the Maw, and the harbinger of Orkathis. Mark fled but saw Phil being attacked by a gray-skinned armored creature. The creature absorbed Phil's organs, and Phil's body transformed, his eyes turning to black ash. Phil then bowed to his attacker and joined the creature. Realizing they were creating an army, Mark fled and managed to hide in a supply closet. As he wrote his final words, he saw Higgins and the lab assistants, all with gray skin and black eyes, approaching. He heard the footsteps of the creatures outside the closet as he wrote his final words. "If you see me, then shoot and shoot to kill. Tell my wife I'm so sorry I won't be." When police arrived, the Institute was abandoned. The sarcophagus and all the people mentioned in the reports were gone. The case remains open. My hands tremble. I don't have much time, and I need to warn you. ChatGPT can ruin your life with one careless phrase. I know because I created something dark and twisted. He is stomping through my home now, hunting me down. The floors groan and splinter beneath each step, and glass bursts like gunfire. The lock on my door won't save me. He's going to find me and take me to whatever hell he's brought the others. I can smell him now, a cross between rotten milk and burnt toast. His name is Mr. Goodley, and this is how he came to be. He is stomping through my home now, hunting me down. The floors groan and splinter beneath each step, and glass bursts like gunfire. The lock on my door won't save me. He's going to find me and take me to whatever hell he's brought the others. I can smell him now, a cross between rotten milk and burnt toast. His name is Mr. Goodley, and this is how he came to be. A few nights ago, my parents were away, and I was staring at a blank screen. My short story was due Monday, and I hadn't written a word. I opened ChatGPT and typed, "Write me a horror story." I chose something unique, and then named the monster after my old boss, Mr. Goodley. I described him as large, ugly, unhygienic, and lonely. I concluded with, "He smells like rotten milk and burnt toast." The story it created was generic, so I typed, "Make it scarier. A monster you can't escape. Make it feel real." The program paused. The screen flashed with weird characters before it wrote a story that used my best friends' names, Rachel and Linda. I watched as the story unfolded, detailing how Mr. Goodley, the monster I created, dragged my friends into the shadows. Into the nothing. My phone rang. It was Rachel. I answered, and the story on the screen began to describe our conversation in real time. I watched as the words appeared on the screen, detailing how Mr. Goodley snatched Rachel by the hair. My friend screamed, and then there was static. A few more words appeared, stating my friends were now in the nothing with Mr. Goodley. But their voices cut back and for just a moment to warn me. I heard Rachel's voice blare into my ear. "Jen, are you there? Oh God, please get help." Linda joined in. "There's nothing here. Just nothing. It's so cold and the dark, I think it's eating us." Rachel screamed, "He's here! Why are you doing this to us?" The childlike voice I described to the program, a chihuahua sucking on helium, spoke into my ear.
"Being nothing was lonely,"
Mr. Goodley said. The story concluded with Mr. Goodley had one more friend to collect, his very best friend, the one that gave him permission to be something. I can't rewrite the story. I can't undo what I've done. The last words in Chat's story were, Mr. Goodley was no longer lonely. He now had friends. And although they never laughed, he learned to love their tears even more. Knock, knock. 2 pleasant taps on my bedroom door. The smell of rotten milk and toast fills my nose. He's here. I'm no longer alone. But soon I'll be in the nothing.